fly with me. So this was a evening flight with my friends Jake and Travis. Nice 4 to 5 miles an hour, right almost down the runway. Beautiful evening to fly. First thing you're going to notice is the colors are very striking in this video. And they actually look a little bit better than they were because I dropped a filter into Adobe Premiere. This is the Fujifilm. It's the first Fujifilm filter or LUT, lookup table. So the colors actually look even somewhat better than they did in actuality. But this was a sunset flight, so it was sort of the golden hour. So the colors were beautiful. It's just looking a lot better than reality here. But so I was really actually pleased with the video that came out. So the funny thing was, Gaggle was saying there should be clouds, like 100% cloud cover at like 5,000 feet. So when I was planning my day, I was actually wanting to get above the cloud layer and fly around. But as you can see, the only clouds are up about 20,000 feet. So no going up there for me. So this was just a nice, easygoing evening flight with a couple of my friends. Travis is actually buying a new motor because his old one, his crankcase broke or cracked or something. And he's been waiting on a new one from the manufacturer, and he was able to get a loaner unit. Still getting used to the smoke machine. One problem I found in this particular flight was I bumped the smoke button on even before I started my motor on the ground. So I pumped a bunch of smoke oil or mineral oil into my exhaust pipe even before I took off. So yeah, bad idea, bad choice. So what I figure I'll do from now on is just wait till I'm airborne, then then reach over and turn the smoke machine on. So in case I want to push the button, that I could do it. But right now, yeah, not the venturing out a little bit. I think when my pulleys tore up, and then I can't remember the other problem I had, but I had a couple of problems. Oh, it was bumpy. It was really, really bumpy that one day. And so I've been reluctant to leave the safety of the airport. So it's kind of like a little bird not wanting to leave the nest. There's some smoke right there. And I think Jake shows up underneath me here in a second. But I've been reluctant to leave. There he is. Doing wing overs and dives and stuff that generally would make me seasick. Probably, yeah. See, whoa, there's no way. Great smoke in that view of the sun, though. Really nice. So I've been reluctant to leave the airport area. But I did venture out a little bit to the north on this trip. Still inside of the airport, but I did venture out a little bit to the north. So the highest I got this trip was 2,000 feet. There was a EAA meeting actually going on at the airport when we arrived. But instead of sitting in a conference room talking, we decided we'd rather fly. Didn't come to the airport to have a meeting. Now, had the weather been not conducive to flying, I would have gone to the meeting. But the weather was just really, really nice. It's finally starting to calm down from summer. You see me moving the Insta video camera around. Of course, that's in post. You don't have to touch it in flight, which is really nice. I had a GoPro on my helmet, but I forgot to turn it on. I even charged the battery up, man. I put my helmet on, and I was kind of trying to get airborne at the same time Travis and Jake were. So I did my pre-flight, and I got everything ready and turned on my Insta camera, and then I forgot to turn the GoPro on. But it's okay. Paramotors fly because of the glider, not because of the GoPro. Looks like it's facing up a little bit. I think I dropped my helmet on the ground. Notice I had a sweatshirt on. It was a little bit cool. Even though it had been hot during the day. Up here at near 2,000 feet, it was getting kind of cool. So it's definitely starting to get cooler in the evenings and cooler in the mornings. The weather was even better yesterday. This flight was Tuesday, the 25th. And yesterday it was, oh, wait a minute. No, I got my days wrong. Tuesday, the 26th. Yesterday, Wednesday, the wind was even better, but I didn't get to fly 2 days in a row. So it's probably the farthest I've ventured from the airport in quite a while, but it felt good. I fly through my own wake a couple of times and do it when I'm doing turns, but so that's no bueno. I'm not sure who that is. I think that's Travis. Okay, so I'm pointing out outs. If my engine were to quit at this point, I've got there's a field below me with a giant house. The only problem is in front of the house, so farther on the opposite side of that house, there's a lot of big power lines. So you'd have to watch out for that. And there's another field across from that housing development. I don't think I would make that in this wind. Got a pretty good wind going up here. I'm going like 30 miles an hour if I go south, and I'm going like 13 miles an hour if I go north. So I got a pretty good wind going here, but it's nice and steady. So it's not too bumpy. I'm talking to him and telling him, hey, I'm off towards town, so you can go ahead and go. But then I notice Jake and Travis down towards the end of the runway. And I'm like, please don't let me see anybody get hit. Little bump. My feet going out like that. Like my body saying, whoa. Yeah, now I'm talking to the airplane. The microphone actually works pretty well. Even at like 2/3 power, the microphone actually works pretty well, especially if I put my hand over the front of it and cover it up. Keep some of that wind noise off of it. And again, it's just a $12 pop voice microphone from Amazon. There's nothing special about it. It's not some $200 aviation microphone. And the guy could hear me. He's like, the airplane pilot came back and said, yeah, I see the paramotors. And I said, well, I'm way up behind you. I'll be out of your way. And he takes off and just kind of goes off to the south. Hopefully by the time you see this, I'll get to fly again. Tonight's not looking so great, but Friday is looking awesome in the evening. And then Sunday morning's looking good. So I'm hoping to give it a shot on Sunday. I still want to do my 10,000 foot flight by the end of summer. School's back in session, but I still want to do that before it gets too cold. The problem with going to 10,000 feet or so is the temperature drops so much. It could easily be 80 on the ground and 30 at 10,000 feet. So problem is taking off and staying warm enough when you're up there. I think it's at this point I'm thinking, you know what, it might be a good time to start thinking about landing. After I take a picture of the sun, of course. And then I'm going to show you Gaggle. That's what Gaggle looks like. So when I'm close to the airport, I don't really use it very much. But if I'm going out away from the airport, I use it a bit more. And then if I don't take off from the same airport that Jake does, I'll use it to find other paramotor pilots, and I'll use it to find some general aviation pilots use it. So it's a nice, just kind of a method of keeping yourself safe and finding your buddies. At this point, I'm just starting to lose some altitude. It's time to get ready to land. And the funny thing is, I think it's going to take me a lot longer to get down, and I'm going to have to go way out and come down kind of gliding. But the wind pushing against me, at one point I'm doing like 13 miles an hour. And I even say out loud, I am not going to make that runway. After I land, you'll hear me laughing like a crazy person and saying that, oh, I foot dragged a landing. Well, what is a foot drag? When people get good at paramotors, and I'm not saying I'm good at paramotors, when people get good at it, one of the things they'll do sometimes is they'll kind of lower themselves out of their seat right next to the ground, and then they'll use a combination of power and brakes almost to hover, not in place, but just to stay at the same altitude, right at a height above the ground where they can drag their feet along either grass or water sometimes. Sometimes they'll do it over creeks or lakes or something, but that's a foot drag where you just kind of drag your feet along. People even do it on asphalt or concrete or rocky roads. It's a great way to wear the bottom of your shoes out really quick. But it's something that takes a little bit of a skill to do, because controlling the wing with power and brake right at ground level is something that's quite difficult. So I'm very surprised when I come in this time. I pull, and I'm coming in for a landing. I pull just enough brake, power's off, but I pull just enough brake to hold myself level for probably about 4 seconds. And my rear foot, the toe of my shoe, just kind of bounces along the ground until I sink enough where my front leg can take a step onto the ground. And it just felt so nice to kind of finally just nail a landing. It's not a real great foot drag, and it was kind of by accident, but I enjoyed it. I thought it felt like a really good landing. Now, did my headwind, did the wind I was flying into help me? Oh, absolutely. Had this been a no-wind landing, that wouldn't have probably gone so well. But with a 5 or 6 mile an hour headwind right down the runway, it really helped me out. And I actually come short of my landing spot, maybe 100, 150 feet from where I actually wanted to go. But I had picked out the spot you'll see me land on is kind of a dry, worn out spot where some of the grass is dead. And I kind of was fixated on that. And if you fixate on an object or a landing spot, you'll hit it. If you fixate on a tree, for example, the one tree in the middle of the field, if you fixate on a tree, you're gonna hit that tree. So now I'm just kind of nursing myself in to a good landing spot. Another thing I didn't want to fixate on, there's a drain about halfway down that grass taxiway or grass strip. There's a drain line. There's one right there at my foot. I definitely don't want to hit that. And then there's another one about halfway. And I kept looking at it, and I had to tell myself, look here, Taco, don't fixate on that daggone drain, because you will hit it. So my main goal was to get right there off my left foot. My main goal was to get past that. After that, all I wanted to do was be close enough to the car so I could walk it off. Or maybe that's the drain. It's hard to see on this little tiny. So yeah, that's the one I didn't want to hit. And then, so now I'm looking at that bare patch in front of me. I'm like, I want to land right there.
A foot drag to landing. Oh my God, that was awesome.
And that's the laughter of somebody who's had a series of bad landings and is finally happy to have a good one with a nice, long, epic sunset flight. Whatever you do, wherever you go, remember, rule 1, do not go splat.